In the West, the Thunder, the Spurs, they face off in what has a chance to be a historically great, I'm talking all-time great series. So let's get into it, shall we? Chiney Ogwumike, Danny Green, my friends, let's start out East. Why not? That's our series here on ESPN and ABC. And Chiney, when you're looking at the biggest question in this series, what is that?
I think they can do it. Can the New York Knicks actually deliver?
Wow.
Not just coming out of the Eastern Conference, winning the finals, but more so, can they win it all? This is the hottest team in basketball. We've never seen a 10-game stretch where they're outscoring their opponents by bonkers numbers like this. So I'm excited to see if the Knicks can keep it rolling all the way to the top.
And it does. I know Jalen Brunson is on the screen right here, but it does feel like Karl Anthony Towns is the single player that we're all going to keep an eye on. More on that in just a bit. But Danny, we know there is so much excitement about this Western Conference Finals. The biggest question here is what?
Does the regular season matter?
Ooh, good one.
I mean, OKC and San Antonio has had great matchups, and San Antonio's beat them most of the time, 4 out of 5 times, I believe. Matchups, I think maybe 6 times in a short span. But to me, regular season does not matter. So I give a slight edge to OKC because of experience. But this Spurs team is hungry, and they could definitely get it done in 6 games if they play like they play.
Does the regular season matter? Interesting. You know what I think the regular season tells us, Chiney?
What does it?
It tells us that the Spurs are capable. It doesn't necessarily mean they will, but that the San Antonio Spurs are capable. And to Danny's point, the Spurs, they are the only team with a winning record against the Thunder this season. They won 4 out of those 5 meetings, right? San Antonio, they won both home games against Oklahoma City. They did win at that neutral site, the game in Las Vegas for the Cup semifinal, right? And then the Christmas Day game in Oklahoma City. But I know that was months ago. I think all of us could use a little refresher here. So let's go back, Chiney, to mid-December. It was San Antonio, OKC in the NBA Cup semifinals. This is when De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, Stephon Castle, Victor, who came off the bench, combined to score 89 points.
They'll need to have that type of production against the #1 defense and the #1 squad in OKC.
And they barely eke this one out. The final score 111-109. So then San Antonio, they would lose the NBA Cup final 10 days later. But when they welcomed OKC into town, this was another dominant performance from San Antonio. Despite a quiet night from Wemby, he only had 12 points. It was Keldon Johnson, the 6th man of the year. Yeah, he dropped 25 on top of 24 from Steph Castle, a 20-point win. So make it 2 for San Antonio in 10 days. And that brings us to Christmas Day. In just 26 minutes, Wemby was excellent. 19 points, 11 rebounds. The Spurs picked up their second double-digit win over OKC. Here's J-Dub when he was talking about Wemby and his impact after this game.
There's this guy on their team that's 7'5" and takes up a lot of space on the court.
You don't lose to a team 3 times in a row in a short span without them being better than you. So we have to get better.
Ooh, so does that still apply now? Well, in January, Shea, he took matters into his own hands. Here's Chiney. The now 2-time MVP, he poured in 34 points, 11 of 23 shooting. So OKC returns a little bit of a favor. They had a 21-point win in this one. So that brings us to February. 3 weeks later, the 5th and final matchup of the season. The Spurs win, but take it with a little bit of a grain of salt because you can see they were missing a ton of players in this one.
Chess match.
Spurs, they get the win. They finish 4-1 against the defending champs. So to your point, Danny, the question is, does any of that matter now in the Western Conference Finals? Here's what the odds makers say, right? The Thunder, they are the -260 favorites. The Spurs, they have +210 odds. So actually not a huge difference here, according to DraftKings Sportsbook, but a difference maker could be the health of this series. So let's say hello to our senior insider, Shams Charania, who joins us fresh off brunch. Shams, big news in Oklahoma City ahead of tonight's matchup against the Spurs. What update do you have on J-Dub here?
Malika, Jalen Williams has been cleared to play in Game 1 tonight against the Spurs. J-Dub actually said on his YouTube channel over the weekend that he is fully healthy and he's going to be a full throttle go in this Game 1. And the reality is the Thunder being able to sweep the first 2 rounds of this series, the first round, the second round, now up until the conference finals, allowed J-Dub additional time to get right and get some rest in. If the series last round had extended, we would have seen him back late in that series, but now he's rested and ready to go against the Spurs.
And we know that he is going to be a huge factor in this series. In fact, behind Kenrich Williams, who defended Victor Wembanyama the most for the for the Oklahoma City Thunder, rather, it was J-Dub. Shams, thank you very much for that insight. We're going to be seeing you soon in the Eastern Conference Finals. But this series, friends, it's just going to be the 3rd time in postseason history that it's featured 2 teams that enter the series that have outscored their opponents by 125. It's the first time it's happened before the finals, by the way. Look at these teams. 2017, the Warriors beat the Cavaliers in 5 games. And then in 2013,
good year.
Yeah, the Miami Heat they beat the Spurs in 7 games. So these 2 teams, they have a rivalry that I think could define maybe even the next 10 years. We're just at the beginning of it, Shanae. But when you're looking at what this series is going to come down to, what's it going to be?
So this postseason, I've been giving you game changers, and now I'm going to add another thing to the conversation.
Ooh, what we got?
It's the one thing to watch. And in this matchup, in the Western Conference Finals, please, I implore you, watch corner threes. Because the San Antonio Spurs, if you think about it, they're the top team in attempts when it comes to corner threes. Oklahoma City, ironically, allows the most corner threes. So this could be an advantage point for the Spurs. Let's break it down here with the tape. De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama, excellent scorers. You have all of the areas of the court available. But what Victor does so uniquely when he plays downhill is he drags the entire defense with him. We talk about that gravitational stat. That's here in full effect, and it leads to amazing vision right here, making the easy pass, and everyone knows that's the shortest three. You're a good shooter.
Yep.
You're a great shooter. The shortest three is the corner three,
Easiest
Danny.
one.
I got the Danny cosign, so I ain't lying. Again, getting downhill, Victor Wembanyama, he has advantages. I mean, he's 7'5", whether it was Caruso or anybody in front of him. He's going to attack the rim, and that leads to easy finds on the outside. So if San Antonio is looking for a path for success, it's identifying those shooters in the corner when Victor occupies. But it all hinges on him playing inside and out.
Right.
Not outside and in.
And so oftentimes we're looking at, all right, it's Chet versus Victor Wembanyama, because Wendy does it better than anyone. Talk about going back to their days as teenagers playing against each other.
Yeah.
They don't actually match up one-on-one all that often here, Danny, but still you have your eye on the 2 of them. Why?
I do. I mean, because they have history. And it's going to be interesting to see what Mark Daigneault does with the matchups. Isaiah Hartenstein, is he going to put him on Castle, or is he going to have him guard Wemby and then Chet be the backside? But this matchup goes back to they're like 15 years old. They really don't like each other. They're so competitive. But Chet, he's been huge for them. You know, he shot 38 from 3 in the series. He was 96% from the field, well, close to the rim, 5 feet or close to the basket. 24 for 25 in that Lakers series. 37 for 38 in the whole postseason. That's the last player to do that in the last 30 years. So, and then Victor on the other side, he told opponents to 28% at the rim. So if Chet can stretch the floor, knock down threes, but also be an impact on the rim, this can help OKC kind of get past San Antonio Spurs in this series. But it's going to rely on these 2 matchups. It starts with Wemby defensively and Chet offensively, but also defensively protecting the rim for OKC.
If there were no Victor Wembanyama, we might be looking at Chet being Defensive Player of the Year, which is ironic, and I think he will want to prove that he is that guy. And let's be real, he's coming off of his best playoff series ever, Chet Holmgren, and so he's going to be feeling confident. I know the J-Dub factor is important, but, like, he's been that number 2 guy.
Yeah.
Now, he just can't play passive. He has to dictate, but I don't know how you do that with Victor Wembanyama.
I mean, there's another guy that I could say is a number 2. A.J. Mitchell has really emerged. You know, they have a lot of guys, Kaysen Wallace, Alex Caruso, you know, Jared McCain off the bench. But A.J. Mitchell, the resurgence of him has been a delight for OKC, especially with J-Dub being out. Now, how to integrate those 2 together is going to be interesting. This is where J-Dub can come back and kind of be like a Jason Tatum role, where he doesn't have to be a scorer right away. He can rebound, could be defense, and assist and facilitate. But they're going to need his offense. They're going to need both those guys being healthy and playing at a high level, because the Spurs team is very deep.
In the regular season, the Spurs dared OKC's other shooters, right? They dared the Alex Carusos, even the Lou Dorts of the world. Okay.
We'll live with that.
We're going to live with that, right? But we didn't see Jared McCain in the form we did against the Lakers at that point. We didn't see A.J. Mitchell, even though he was already excellent, to the same degree that we're seeing him now as a bona fide role player in the postseason. And so is that strategy for San Antonio going to work? Or is Mark Daigneault going to be the one that blinks first and makes an adjustment to the starting lineup? Guys, we're already 10 minutes into the show, and we haven't gotten to Cavs corner yet. Hear from Donovan Mitchell on reaching his first conference finals and how Cleveland matches up against the Knicks. And speaking of the Knicks, they haven't played in a week, Shanae. So is this rest a blessing, or is it that rest versus rest
blessing? I'll take the rest every time.
It's like my knees. Plus, a health 8 assist.
Sam was hooping.
Yeah,
Sam really was. The Cavaliers, they just dominated in this game. The blowout win for the Cavs, by the way, it sets up the first time in a playoff series that we've seen 2 teams come off 30-point wins. wins. However, of course, the Knicks, they did it 2 weeks ago. It was 2 Sundays ago, 7 days before Cleveland closed out their series against Detroit. And Mitchell, he was asked about how he's feeling reaching his first conference finals.
A breath of fresh air, but like you said, we didn't just come here that wasn't the goal when we started the season. Even last year, like when we lost Indiana, we had our goals set on getting to the finals, and we're just one step closer. But yeah, it's been almost a decade of running into the same issue, right? Like, you know what I mean? So sure, I personally and as a team, we can breathe a little bit, but in the same token, we can only breathe for about 12 hours and then get right back to it.
Would rather not have a 9-day break. You know, you're in a good rhythm, and then obviously you got to kind of just sit there and wait and those kind of things. So, I don't know. Ideally, if it was a 3 or 4 day break, that would be nice.
Yeah, Danny, it's sort of the rest versus rust conversation there.
It could be, a blessing. It could be a curse. Like, for me, shout out to producer Jaron. He showed me we had 7 days off when we were the Spurs in 2012.
Okay.
We won our first 2 series sweep. We had 7 days off.
Yeah.
My first game, I was 0 for 6. So, even though he's showing some good shots here that I made some, the rest was great, but it's great for the older guys. Like Manu, he needed it. He came in, he balled out. Steven Jackson, of course, Timmy, Tony, those guys were well. For me, it took some time. Game 1 was close for us. We played better in game 2, but it takes some time to get that rust off. Luckily for the Knicks, they've been rolling. They have a lot of pieces. And I trust that they will keep it going.
That was against Perk. How was he in that?
Perk was decent. Producer Jaron also showed us he was a minus 17.
Wait, who?
I think Perk was a minus. Game 5 when they won.
Oh, my gosh.
But other than that, Perk was pretty good.
Putting our guy bless. Also, that was a very kind edit from our producers. You're saying you're 0 for 6, and they're just showing all makes here. But ultimately, going back to the Knicks and the Cavaliers, it was a twisty, windy path, but ultimately these are the 2 teams, I think, today that we thought were going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals midway through the season.
Commercial break, we were like, yes, we've got conference finals, and I think we've got 2 teams playing excellent basketball. This will come down to 2 things. Let me start with the first. The first 40 minutes will be dictated by the battle in the paint, because those guys are truly the X factors, the surprise factors. Let's start with Karl-Anthony Towns. We're witnessing his renaissance, his renovation, because he is shooting 62% from the floor in the last series. Excellent, but he's not pressing. More importantly, 7.5 assists per game versus the 76ers. That is what is making New York separate. That's what's helping them elevate. Now, on the other side, for the New York Knicks, it's interesting because when you think about the tandem, Mitchell Robinson versus the Cavs, in 2 games, he had 16 offensive rebounds in just 36 minutes. So the diversity of post players is going to be important going up against a Mobley, going up against an Allen. But Karl-Anthony Towns scoring, but more importantly passing, has given their offense more versatility. And Mitchell Robinson, he got one job to go out there and just be a beast on the boards. I know that Cleveland's riding high. Game 7, Allen, Evan Mobley looking like the guy we expect him to be. So it's going to be very key to see how New York handles that fervor from that.
And you would think that it's going to be probably Evan Mobley, on Karl-Anthony Towns, because what the Cavaliers like to do, they like to put the other big, like Jared Allen, on who? Josh Hart. And let him sort of sag off of Josh Hart, dare him to shoot, and then roam a little bit. But what does that do? That means that Dean Wade or maybe Max Strus is going to be on Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, that's a mismatch all around. I don't think Cleveland has anybody that can guard Jalen Brunson in this series. That's where it comes in. Cat, you have Evan Mobley. If he plays two-way like he's played in that last series against Detroit, he can kind of somewhat neutralize Carl Sabonis, as you would say. Like, he's out there playing like Arvidas Sabonis. But when it comes to Jalen Brunson, you have Donovan Mitchell, you have James Harden. Like, they're decent size, but Jalen Brunson's too quick. He's too crafty.
Too strong.
Max Strus, again, Dean Wade's got size, but he's not foot speed enough to keep up with Jalen Brunson. So this is going to be a tough matchup for them in terms of Jalen Brunson, but everybody else, I think they can kind of match up with.
And that's why I said the first 40 minutes will be the paint. The final 8 will be a shootout. And it's going to be cool because Donovan Mitchell, we've seen him have a 39-point second half, and Brunson, a former clutch player of the year. So, yeah, it might be more offense.
And the Knicks offense has been humming as of late, And good news for the New York Knicks. Mike Brown, he said in practice today, according to our friend Ian Begley, that their guys, OG included, was a full
participant. There you go.
I learned that today, that OG's first name is Agugwa.
Agugwa.
That's his full first name. All right, shall we pour one out for the Pistons over here? Let's take a listen to Cade, JB Bickerstaff, looking back at their season.
JB, just you guys took a step last year, take another big step this year, playing at home, Game 7. especially what you just done in Cleveland. How big of a disappointment?
It's not a disappointment at all. I'm not ever will I be disappointed in these guys. These guys every single day give us what they got. So it is not a disappointment. It's a loss, and it's a tough loss. But that adjective will never be used as this group.
So the Pistons now, they turn to some important questions this summer. Jalen Duren, he's a restricted free agent. He didn't have the best postseason. Tobias Harris, Kevin Huerter, they are unrestricted free agents as well. And then next summer, they have decisions to make on Asar Thompson, Danis Jenkins. They will be restricted free agents. So a whole lot of decisions coming up for the Pistons. But we move on. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. It's right here on ESPN tomorrow. Cavaliers-Knicks. It tips off at 8:30 Eastern. An NBA tip-off gets the night started. That's at 7. Also streaming on the ESPN app. And we are hitting the road as well. Getting on planes right after the show. Danny, Janae, you ready?
Did we upgrade our pictures yet? I feel like finally they upgraded yours a little.
I look a little scary here. I'm not going to lie. Amon, Wendy,
too.
Kirk, Shams.
I'm like,
we are staring down the camera. All right, let's not look at us anymore. Let's talk to Wemby. My exclusive conversation with him. He's going to tell me why learning from the Shaolin monks has impacted him in ways he would never guess. And the WNBA's top 22s, they were feeling it.
They were.
Over the week for halftime in 2 of those games. I caught up with Victor Wembanyama, and he talked about how his offseason, it actually shaped what we're seeing from him today, including his trip to China, where he trained with Shaolin monks, the advice he received from Hakeem Olajuwon, and his quest for playoff success.
To get into the playoffs is something we are built for, and I am built for.
Victor Wembanyama!
Coming back from what I came back from, it's the best example that life is short, career is short. There's no time to waste.
It sends the Spurs to the playoffs. Let's go!
Spurs forward Victor Wembanyama has taken giant strides this season in his quest to be the next great championship big man in San Antonio.
Wembanyama with the rejection.
It's hard to believe it was only 15 months ago he was diagnosed with deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot in his right shoulder, which left his future in question.
That moment, I remember clearly, it was 5 minutes of total breakdown, probably, obviously crying and sadness and maybe a feeling of the fragility of life and health. Basketball wasn't my priority all of a sudden, as it had been for years and years in my life. I needed time to find myself again and then to get better. For me, a situation I don't like is not really knowing what's best, or the fear of maybe going in the wrong direction.
Were you ever worried that you would not be able to play again in those 5 minutes?
Yes, but it wasn't justified. Live from China, on the Great Wall itself, having an amazing time.
Wembanyama's response was unique. He took the summer to travel abroad, stopping in China for a retreat to realign his mind, body, and spirit.
Incredible scenery. The temple, of course, obviously the traditional millennium-old buildings just at the bottom of the mountain in the forest. We meet a few monks, and they're very social, and they have phones and stuff. We were like, interesting, let's see how it goes, but I'm not sure it is where I want to spend these next weeks in my summer, because it's an important summer. But so we eat a few things, vegetarian. And after that, they go to show us a demonstration, a show of what they do, of Kung Fu. Let's just say that 30 seconds in, we were convinced. All the doubts we might have had before, long gone.
Victor bought in. He shaved his head and stayed at the Shaolin Temple for 2 weeks, waking up at 4 a.m. to work with monks, learning the ways of meditation and Kung Fu.
Were you ever afraid that your hair wouldn't grow back?
No, it's one less thing to worry about. No hair, no worry. After that, it was serious practice and total dive into the culture and the traditions and the practice of Kung Fu.
What was the thing that you said, I want to be able to do, that looked like?
Oh, the backflip.
You wanted to be able to do a backflip.
Yeah.
Can you do a backflip?
Almost broke my neck a couple times trying, but...
All right, so the backflip is what you wanted to learn to do. What did you actually learn to do?
So what I learned is some types of meditation, obviously some Kung Fu classic movements. I learned some types of jumps and kicking jumps, which is surprisingly hard because it's lots of movements. And first you have to learn to do it the right way, and then you have to learn to do it quick and strong, which makes it twice as hard.
Okay.
Outside of the culture, because there was many things about Chinese medicine, you know, were really interesting. But my biggest takeaways was some things I did over there overloaded certain muscles in my body that were not used to these kind of efforts, and I think it made them stronger. I think it made them more resilient.
After his trip to China, Wembanyama returned to the States to take Hakeem Olajuwon's offer to help develop his game.
So we met at the Final Four, and right away he was very friendly, you know, and he told me right away that he wanted to share what he had, what he knew. Rarely in my life I've learned so much in just a few days.
What did you learn?
All the footwork stuff, things that look easy but aren't, but he makes them easier, you know, and just some advice that comes with experience, and nothing can replace experience.
What was the best piece of advice that he told you?
That you don't need to wait to win, you know, like you can do it right away. You're a good player enough. If you're that good, you're gonna make your team win regardless.
Hakeem was right. Pairing the lessons of the Shaolin with the teachings of an NBA Hall of Famer, Wembanyama complemented his perimeter presence with dominance in the paint and has led the Spurs back to title contention.
The first player to unanimously with the Hakeem Olajuwon Trophy as the Defensive Player of the Year.
We're getting closer to what Spurs basketball means, where everybody is involved, everybody can make things happen. For some years, it's been very important for me to develop my body into what it can be and like fulfill the potential as much as possible. And it was just the whole motor all summer, and I think it's going to be for the rest of my career.
Victor Wembanyama doing alien things.
Victor! Oh my
Video
goodness!
game.
I could listen to Victor and sort of his process all day. Why are we showing you this stat, though? That despite Wemby's success against the Thunder, one of his 4 games without a block this season, it was against OKC. Now, he played 23 minutes off the bench. Why we're showing you this is because the Spurs still beat the Thunder by 20 in that game, right? So we're at the big board to talk about a big man, Shanae, and the gravity that Victor provides here.
Okay, we're gonna do a checklist. This time we're splitting it. You know, Shanae and Danny, here it is. Both of us here. Okay. We're talking about Victor Wembanyama and his defensive impact. As Malika said, his gravity is through the roof, which led to them having a huge advantage in the regular season. The first thing that he applies is he is the ultimate deterrent. We have so many stats that are new. We're talking about the hell no's, DDJ, thank you. Because he deters so many people from coming to the rim. He can guard how many players, Danny? 1, 2, 3? At least 3 at the same time. This guy right here is a back-to-back MVP, and he says, respectfully, hell no. He's going to dribble around, and it puts their offense in a really difficult situation. Because look, right here, you know, it's a short shot, then you're out of whack. This is one of the best teams that we've seen on both ends of the floor, but he starts with being a deterrent.
And the difference that he's able to do that other teams aren't able to do, he's also able to double, but recover from that double and get back to the rim and you know, I guess affect shots while he's doubling. Right here, as you see, they're trying to get Shea across screen here, get him in a position where they can't double. Shea knows he's going to double team him, so they're trying to get in a position where they can't. Wemby does not care. I'm coming anyway.
That's the last person I want to see coming.
Up. You see a 7'5" guy, it's hard to get that ball out of there. Get a little panic mode, throw it away, turn over, they're out and running. They got so many wings and so many guards outside of Wemby, but that can recover when he doubles. So he's good at that.
The reason why we keep saying he's probably going to finish with the most defensive player of the year awards, not only can he deter, not only can he double, but he can also help and recover. But we revise this to dig and recover.
Yeah, why not?
Because that's what we say on the floor as players. It's like you got to go dig at the ball, but make sure you don't lose sight of your man. This is a perfect example of this. Wemby at 7'5", I don't know what that wingspan is, infinite. Here, he's digging. digging, but because he's so tall, he can still recover with 1-2 shots. And look at how he closes the gap on the help and recover, the dig and recover. Honestly, this is how I felt when Brittany Griner was playing in the WNBA. I was like, what am I going to do?
Right.
I need answers. Y'all actually have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's a sin, leaving the strong corner, but he is so lengthy that he can leave strong corner and recover back.
He's
Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Well, that's the triple D checklist if we're going with dig and recover there. Thank you guys so much for that. Let's get to a little bit more on this series as we check in with our Tim McMahon, Michael C. Wright, who are live. They're in Paycom Center ahead of this game one. A big difference for OKC, right, is going to be the return of Jalen Williams, because it's been almost 4 weeks, Tim, since he last played. Have the Thunder given any thought, idea? Have they told you how they plan to use J-Dub tonight, Tim?
Howdy, Malika. What do you think? You think the Thunder suddenly have become like this team that wants to share their game plan? I saw Mark Daigneault in the parking lot, and I said, hey, man, is Dub starting tonight? And it's kind of like going to the basket against Victor Wembanyama. You know you're probably going to get rejected. Sometimes you try anyway. I got it swatted back in my face. This brilliant coach played dumb. Oh, gee whiz. I don't know. I guess we'll find out tonight. What I can tell you is Jalen Williams has started every game since early in his rookie season. Every time he came back from injury this year, he went right back into the starting lineup. Now, it's an interesting situation. AJ Mitchell is one of the stars of the second round.
Right.
Do you plug him back into that spot in the starting lineup, or do you go small like they did to open the NBA Finals and put as much playmaking in that starting lineup to try to move Victor Wembanyama around? Wemby is such a unique challenge to game plan against, and that's regardless of the circumstances, especially maybe tonight, though, when there's going to be an MVP trophy ceremony pregame.
Yeah.
They're going to hand that thing to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think we know Wemby well enough to know he'll probably look over there and say, you know what? That's my trophy. That should be in my hands. And I asked Shai about that, and he said, look, he's an extreme competitor. He's super confident in himself. He understands that Wemby might feel a certain way about it. But, you know, Shai, very respectful, says he presents challenges unlike anything we've ever seen before. Everybody knows what to expect.
How diplomatic. Tim, maybe stop running up on coaches in parking lots. We appreciate the insight there. You brought up Wemby, though, so let's turn to the Spurs side of things with you, Michael C. Wright. De'Aaron Fox, he's questionable again. Is this a true questionable? Is there any concern over his availability here?
Malika, I got to tell you, I have never stared at a man's ankle so much in my life. I hope De'Aaron doesn't feel a certain kind of way about me after this morning. But did talk to De'Aaron Fox, and he said that he is going to try to test that ankle, just test it all day long. And he said what he's going to do is he's going to do his pregame a lot earlier than usual just to make sure. And speaking of De'Aaron, I mean, he was at the shoot-around, and it was a lively vibe this morning here at the Paycom Center. And all these guys, they are, you know, they're taking this, they're handling it very loose. They want to be loose because De'Aaron Fox said that if you go into this thing, we know what the stakes are, but if you go into this thing all tight, then the pressure of the game will get to you. And obviously the Spurs want to be applying the pressure, not feeling it.
The two of you are quite a pair, staring at ankles and running up in parking lots. Enjoy the game tonight. Let's hope y'all get there. We appreciate the time here on NBA Today. Coming up on our show, we got full reaction analysis. The Wolves' early exit. It's hard to believe that was only this weekend that happened. What roster moves can we expect to see in Minnesota? We've got the answer.
All aspects of her game really flourish because people talk about the shot, but it's really the passes that separate her.
Awesome weekend in the W. Back in the NBA, Anthony Edwards, he's faced a little bit of criticism for congratulating the Spurs coaching staff and players with 8 minutes left in Game 6. The Timberwolves were down 33 at the time. You can see the moment. It's before he checks out of the game. Ant-Man was asked about this. Here's his explanation.
I mean, at that point, you know you ain't going back in, so you're just trying to get them respect they deserve.
So, DG.
Yeah, it's a learning curve, learning lesson. I'm not too bent out of shape about it because I don't question Anthony's competitive nature, like his character. But you just wait till the end of the game, cheer on your guys, wait till the end of the game. I said he'll learn from this. But if it's one thing, if he was leaving the game, going to back to get treatment, or he was hurt.
Right.
But if you're still going to sit the rest of the game and just watch from the bench, you could wait till after the game's over to shake everybody's hand.
Generally speaking, I'm not the sportsmanship police. Like when Jaden McDaniels dunked at the end of the game, I don't really care. I do think you cheer on your guys here. Looking ahead, though, the Timberwolves, their current roster, they have their core together. Ant has 3 years, $157 million left on his deal. Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, they each have 2 years left, including a player option for the second season. So let's take Naz Reid, Dante DiVincenzo. They talked about if their talent is enough, right, to keep this team together.
I think we have more than enough talent. I think we have more than enough, guys bring it to the table and compete at a high level. But just, being less moody. I think that's just the name of the game for us, just being less moody.
And you have a locker room that are not bad guys. When you have a locker room full of good guys, you can get through those things. But once you have, stuff in the locker room that's, pointing the fingers at one another and stuff, and the guys aren't connected in the locker room, it just takes that humility to understand that, whatever's needed, it needs to be done.
Interesting, right? So there's the talent piece of this, but then you're using words like connectivity in the locker room, the attitude that players have, Shanae.
Yeah, I think it's quite simple to sort of deduce in some ways. When things were great, everything was great. But then when they hit the adversity, it feels like it hit them like a brick wall, particularly Julius Randle, because his last series was not good at all. He shot 34% from the field, 19% from three. And then you worry about, these circumstances where how hard are you playing? How are things working? Because I can say from this postseason, Ant tried. Naz Reid had moments. Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert maxed out on his capabilities. And honestly, it probably took a little bit of his superpowers. Their team hinges on him. There's a lot of pressure on him. And going up against the Spurs, you just feel like you did not get big enough games and big enough moments, or at least that requisite effort to where you're making a decision moving forward and you're like, is this guy still a centerpiece?
He is very good, but I think you should find a way to not make so much reliant on him. You need some more help. You need another star power in there where Julius is a number 3. They have enough pieces. Dante's great. They needed him. They missed him dearly. Obviously, they need some maturity because they're talking about locker room issues in that sense. But they do need help for Anthony and Julius, so there's not as much pressure on those two guys to produce offensively for that group.
And are they going to try to strengthen their backcourt with Dante out all of, if not most of, next season as well? That's going to be a question that A-Rod and company are going to have to ask themselves. Coming up, though, who's got the depth that you're looking for?
Oh, I mean, deeper than the what?
Pacific Ocean.
Pacific Ocean. We have to find an official number. That's what they're known for. It's proven. A.J. Mitchell, all of them that come up and just ball out.
I'm going San Antonio. When you got Dylan Harper coming off the bench, now you got Carter Bryant, you got Sham Penny, you got a bunch of guys that can fill it up and do a multitude of things. So I'm going with San Antonio.
Vroom, vroom. How about the keys to the series?
All right, the key to the series to me is Stephon Castle.
I like it.
Truly capable of having big games, but also his matchup is likely going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So if he plays good defense, that can really help his squad.
I'm going with coaching. As much as I pick San Antonio over depth and star power, these two teams